Okay, so this is not a video I had planned on making, but life happens. So I posted my Valentine's Day video last week, and I posted it a little later than I had originally intended. I have like a plan every month about like what I'm going to schedule and what I'm going to do, what weekends, and I try to post every week. And originally I was posting twice a week, and now I'm posting only like once a week just because I want to make better quality videos. So anyways, that is beside the point. So it is Friday, February 28th. I've said it like 4 times today. I had a miscarriage on Sunday, this past Sunday, so Sunday, February 23rd. And I want to get this story out here, out in the open, just so it could be helpful to other people. And just, I feel like the more stories you hear, the more like you're like, I'm not alone. And I mean, everybody's story is a little bit different, but there might be some similarities between my story and somebody else's. So I am going to redo my my video plan, and starting with this video. Some of my other videos will still come along, but I have this video, and I am going to be posting a video at the end of March about my recovery. I'm going to do just like a week-to-week, day-to-day thing. So without further ado, I'm just gonna get into this story. So last week, I don't know if this actually caused anything, but it's just a part of like the story, and like I want you to be aware of it if it was a reason behind this miscarriage. But I did start feeling kind of a disconnect between myself, like emotionally, and like something growing inside of me like a week or 2 ago. Like I just kind of felt like I wasn't connecting, and I was like, this could be a normal thing. Maybe it is, but I just kind of felt like a disconnect. Last Monday, I can't even remember what day it was. I had the day off, and I spent the whole day cleaning, and I washed the dogs, and I did laundry, like nothing like too excessive, but I was on my feet like all day. And I did try to take breaks, and I did eat lunch and things like that, but I don't know, I feel like I did too much. And then the next day we had an emergency at work where some of my staff had to do CPR, and it was just rather stressful. Like I wasn't in the immediate thing, but I did have to deal with like communicating with my boss and communicating back to the staff members and just making sure everybody was okay, since my boss was home with her son. And then Wednesday I started getting some spotting. So it was just brown spotting, so I wasn't exactly alarmed because it's like, oh, that's old blood, it could just be squeezing out. And oh my gosh, here comes the sneeze. Excuse me. So I wasn't too concerned. It was in the evening, so I was like, okay, if I get anything tomorrow, we'll see what happens. Woke up on Thursday, there was no spotting. So I was like, okay, I'm fine. It was just a freak thing. Thursday night, I started getting the same thing. So I texted my mother, and she's like, I don't think it's anything to be too worried about unless it gets more extreme. I had a similar thing in my pregnancy with you. So I was like, okay, it's normal. Friday morning about 6 o'clock, I had a blood clot come out when I went to the bathroom. And I mean, I was a little bit uncomfortable, which is why I got up and like woke up in the first place. So it was a small, very, very small. It was probably like a dime size, maybe not even, maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. So I was like, oh my God. So you think blood clots, you think the worst. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna prepare for the worst. Like, I might have to go to the doctor, I might have to text my boss. So I called the after hours line. The doctor picked up, or they got me in contact with the doctor. She called like immediately almost. I'm assuming she was getting up for the day because it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And she said if the bleeding doesn't increase and you're not bleeding through a pad or anything, then you should be fine. So like my bleeding, like I had the clot and it was dark, like a couple of swipes, and then it was back to the brown stuff. And I was like, okay. But like something in the back of my mind's like, oh my gosh, you should call your doctor when the doctor's office opens. But I took this doctor's word of mouth and just was like, okay, I should be fine. If it gets worse, then I'll call. And I was kind of expecting it to get worse, and it didn't. I spent most of the day, it was just like anxiety, like it's gonna get worse, it's gonna get worse, it's gonna get worse. And it just stayed like the persistent, like brown. And my mom, I let her know, like as soon as I knew she was awake, she said, oh, your aunts experienced very, very similar things, like they had clotting and things like that, like, and she talked to several people and they were all like, yeah, they've all had like similar things before, like I'm sure you're fine. So, but I kind of had that thing in the back of my head that like I should just go to the doctors to be safe, and I didn't. So trust that little guy in the back of your mind, or girl. Saturday, I had guard classes last weekend, so I was rather busy. Pick's the worst weekend for it to happen. Saturday, I just kind of felt like my stomach hurt, like I was kind of like, feel like I had gas. I did take a Gas X, which was in my approved prescriptions, and I normally try to avoid all medications if at all possible, but I was just super like uncomfortable. I took one and I immediately started feeling better. I got through the day. I had minimal like twinges here and there, and I think I passed 2 blood clots that day. I did one in the morning and one in like the afternoon sometimes, and the one in the morning was about the same size as the one the day before, and then the one in the afternoon was very, very small. And I don't know, I wasn't experiencing anything. I didn't even have a pad on. I was only bleeding when I was wiping. I maybe had like 2 droplets in my underwear, like nothing like that I couldn't get rid of. And Sunday, I hit Sunday, and I felt fine, honestly. Like the bleeding was going away, like it was lightening up. I was like, okay, well maybe it's not what I think it is. Relaxed all morning. I didn't go to church. I actually watched church on my phone. Had a hot chocolate, had breakfast. This is probably the best I had felt in a couple of days, so I was like, okay, well things are looking up, you know. I did get up at one point and just put a load of laundry in. I got up and like took care of myself, like took a shower and things. And that was just kind of like a relaxing day, like nothing super out of the norm besides like, I mean, I was ending whatever spotting I was, so there was still like some residue, but like not like enough to be like I'm spotting. And I went to my parents for dinner, so we did our family dinner night, and that's when I started feeling off. Like I felt constipated, and my mom, looking back on it, she's like, I should have known you were going into labor, because I was having like lower back discomfort, and I wasn't like super hungry or anything, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm so uncomfortable, I just want to go home. And I was kind of having it on the ride over there, and it was just like, oh my god, just make it stop, it's comfortable, like. And then we just kind of sat. It felt like I was getting a little bit better. My mom was like, oh, if you're constipated, I have like these pills that were approved on my list. Again, I don't like taking anything in general, even when I'm not pregnant, so like this was like absolute like abnormal thing for me to take this. And it's just a stool softener to help whatever was making me feel like I needed to go to the bathroom pass. Which, by the way, I did have a bowel movement that morning and I hadn't had one in a couple of days, so I thought it was constipation, and I'm stupid. I've never had a birth before, so I don't know what labor pains feel like. And this will come into play when I talk about my doctor's appointment. So then we went to home, and this is when I started getting like really, really bad pain. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be terrible gas. I'm stupid. Apparently, because I was actually like in labor. 13 weeks and in labor. Which, by the way, I just hit 13 weeks on Sunday. And then we got home, and I just had like the worst time trying to get comfortable. Like, I really felt like I just needed to fart. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, I just need to fart. And, like, I was trying to like rub my stomach and like stretch and things like that. And I was looking at my phone, and I was just sitting there, and I about fell asleep. I was like, I didn't think I was going to, and I fell asleep. And the next thing I knew, I woke up, and it literally felt like a champagne pop. And my water broke. I could feel it just explode out of me. It was insane feeling. So now I know what it feels like for the future reference, but that was super uncomfortable. And I got up and ran to the bathroom because I knew exactly what it was. I don't even think I had enough time to get any on my bed. That's how fast I got up. I ran to the bathroom, and I was like, shit, it's like everywhere. And I started dripping blood. And I sat down on the toilet, and I was like, okay, well, maybe it's nothing. Like, maybe I just popped something. I don't, maybe like the water broke, but I'm still okay. Which I don't think is even possible, but you know, you just tell yourself things sometimes in the moment. And I was bleeding pretty heavily. I don't know if I even like what I passed. I know there was like clots coming out, and like I was like wiping, and like it just was not coming clear. And I was like filling that toilet. I actually ended up flushing it and filling it again. When I flushed it, I ended up calling Drew, and I was like, grab my phone and grab like the after hours number for me. So he went and grabbed those, and just like any man, he doesn't worry about anything apparently, and just went straight back to bed. Of course, I'll take some responsibility for that, because I was not panicking at all. And I'm just kind of a logical person. Like, why panic? It's not gonna make anything better at the moment. So, and panicking is gonna make blood pour out of me faster, so I'm gonna stay calm. My heart was racing when it immediately happened, but it did come down. I called the after hours number, and it took a little bit for the doctor to get back to me. And in the meantime, I was just like, how the hell am I supposed to get off this toilet? I'm like bleeding everywhere. She eventually called me back. In the meantime, I was trying to figure out like what hospitals were close to me. I'm not familiar with this area very well, because I grew up 40 minutes south of here. So all the big hospitals are south or way north. So I was trying to figure out which one would have the facilities for somebody like me. And I found one that had like ultrasound listed in their emergencies. So I was like, I found one. The doctor told me to just like wrap a towel up and get myself going, because she didn't want to risk my life to try to get 40 minutes down to where they were. We got to the doctor, or the ER, and I bled through the paper towels that I had wrapped up and put in my pants because I didn't have any pads on hand. They got me to the ER, or into the ER, checked in and everything. And the doctor, or the nurse, was getting, she got me one of the stereotypical diapers not diapers, but the big pads that they talk about after delivering, and like the mesh panties, which I'm keeping those mesh panties. They actually are comfortable, so at least I thought they were. I was trying to put that, the huge pad on, and I had a big, huge clot fall out into it, and she gave me just like a regular pad. I bled through that. They ended up doing a exam on me and pulled a bunch of clots out, and there was literally blood everywhere. They got me pushed back. They were giving me fluids by IV. I went to 2 bags of fluids. I took a bunch of blood to do blood tests. And then about that time, after my pelvic exam, my husband finally got back. He had to go get my purse because I forgot to grab it. And they brought him in right when I was getting changed, so he got to see like all the aftermath, and I'm sure he was traumatized, like, oh my god. And then I'm trying to go through all this because I know it's gonna be helpful for somebody out there, but all the gory details, I don't know. They did an ultrasound. They actually did this before Drew got in there. They couldn't find anything. They did just like a regular one, and they did an internal one, just to see if they could find anything. And he's like, for how far along you are, he's like, I should be able to see something, and he didn't see anything. They also, my blood test came back and said my levels were lower than where I should have been. So it all just, the signs just pointed to I was having a miscarriage. And then my bleeding did start slowing down. I got changed. Hello, camera. Focus on me. It's bored of my story too. So all signs pointed towards a miscarriage. My bleeding did slow down. They gave me Rogam because I am Rh negative blood, so I had to get that shot. Anybody who is Rh negative has to get one, especially after a miscarriage. You get one at like 28 weeks, and you also get one after birth if your baby has tested Rh positive. My husband is Rh positive, so I definitely need the shot. Once my bleeding slowed down, they released me. And then we went to Walmart, and I had to get some more pads. So just talking about aftermath, because I'm going to do another video about like my whole week and week by week or whatever. And we went home, changed the sheets, and I just made sure the bathroom was cleaned up. Excuse me. And honestly, I mean, I was a little sad and disappointed. I did call my mom at one point, and my husband probably thinks I'm insane, but I was making jokes, and that's just my personality. I'd never been in the ER before, and I said it was like a field trip. And I'm sorry if that's disrespectful to other people that go to but I've never been in the ER before, and it was like an exciting experience. Not really exciting, but under the circumstances, but like just my family has a weird sense of humor like that, so but I mean, I didn't cry. I did cry when I was originally bleeding, like on Friday, and like I kind of got emotional off and on all weekend, but I think because of when I started having spotting and Friday and everything, I really had just prepared for the worst throughout that entire weekend. And then there was that voice in the back of my head that was just like, it's not okay, but it's natural. Like, I had done a lot of like looking in on like miscarriages and things, and it's just a natural thing most of the time. So it's not something that you can prevent. It's just the body's way of getting rid of something that's not growing properly. And I don't want to just call it something, but the baby wasn't going to have a healthy life probably. if it did continue to develop. So in a way, it's better. It is painful because it's like you've tried so hard to get pregnant and things, and it's sad, but I don't know, it's hard to be logical about it, I guess, to some people. Some people are more emotional, like my mother. Speaking of which, the next day she came over. I did take the day off of work because it was just to make sure I was okay and just to recover a little bit. And my mom came to my house. Her eyes were poofed up, and I was like, I haven't even been crying that much. And I did cry the next morning, first thing the next morning. And it actually all started because my dog had vomited bile like right in front of the toilet where I had been the night before. And I was like, it's kind of like she was just like, I'm sorry. And she was so upset when I left. Oh my gosh, camera, come on. You can do it. I believe in you. Come on, camera. There we go. She was really upset. And I feel like she was kind of trying to tell me all weekend that I wasn't okay as well. So that kind of made me emotional just because of her reaction. And I've had like a few like tears and just a few moments where I was just like sad about it, but there's nothing I could do. And I knew that like the moment I started like heavily bleeding, like there's nothing I could do. And even on Friday, there could have potentially been nothing they could have done at that point either. I did have a doctor's appointment this morning. I still have a lot of clotting. So they gave me a prescription for that, which I'll talk about in my video. And yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. I have bled like all week. They tell you just to wear pads and things, so I'm not allowed to get in the pool, which I don't a lot anyway. I'm just taking it easy and just letting myself recover physically. I'll do a lot more update about that physical stuff later. The day after my miscarriage, my mom did almost get into an accident. If she had not been up here, it probably could have been a lot worse than it actually was, because her whole tire, like, her whole wheel, like, broke off the axle. She happened to be in the parking lot getting us all coffee. So that was, like, kind of a blessing out of the entire ordeal. I don't want to call a miscarriage a blessing, but God works in mysterious ways sometimes. So we just have to have faith in Him sometimes that maybe this is just part of His plan. And if you're not religious or anything, but it's just, sometimes it's just a lesson that we need to learn from and grow from. So it's okay to be sad, and take the time you need, but definitely figure out how you can grow from this and do better for next time. I'm already planning on, like, I'm already preparing my body for next pregnancy. Even though I'm still recovering, I am trying to figure out how I can be better in this next pregnancy. And I just want to also say, for those of you that have husbands or significant others that are part of your pregnancy, to make sure you check on them. I know I kind of ignored my husband. Like, I didn't necessarily ignore him, but like my focus wasn't on him at first. And I mean, I checked on him like once at the hospital and just made sure he was doing okay. I know he was really tired because it was so late at night. It was like 11 o'clock at night and we didn't get home until like 3 or 4 in the morning. It wasn't till like Monday night where we just kind of sat and talked about it, and he said it was okay. He's like, my mom says it perfectly. He usually reacts how I react, so if I'm not worried, he's usually not worried. He also lives by a philosophy like, if there's nothing you can do about it, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, it's in God's hands, God's plan, and it's just something you gotta learn and grow from. Anyways, I hope this video wasn't too like gross. I did get into TMI just because I think it's helpful for some people. But if you all need any questions or support, just remember that you're not alone, and you can always message me or comment down below. But I hope this video is helpful for some of you in the future, or if you've gone through this before and are still recovering. I hope this is helpful for you. Anyways, I am done rambling for now. It's sad to bring this news, but I'm also excited to help others if I can. So, to continue following my journey, because I am going to post more videos about this, make sure you subscribe down below. If this video is at all helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all next week.